Welcome back to C News, where we serve the royals their reality check piping hot and with zero sugarcoating. If you came here looking for polite palace PR, sorry darling. Wrong channel. We're here for the drama, the truth bombs, and the tea so strong it could knock the crown right off King Charles's head. The British monarchy loves a good story, especially when it paints them as the eternal heroes in a grand drama. But over the last 5 years, the story has slipped out of their grasp, and the main character they desperately wanted back in their fold has written his own script, one where the palace isn't even a supporting actor. Prince Harry, the so-called spare, is no longer spare at all. He's the star of a much bigger stage, one far beyond the confines of Windsor and Buckingham Palace. And that, right there, is the royal family's worst nightmare. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't inevitable. The truth is, the palace had every opportunity to keep Harry close, to modernize and adapt with him, to use his charisma and authenticity as a way to refresh the royal brand for a new generation. Instead, they fumbled, they hesitated, and ultimately they pushed him out. The world watched as a man who had given his entire life to the firm was driven to the brink by a system that valued image over humanity. Let's rewind for a moment. When Harry married Meghan Markle in 2018, it should have been a fairy tale win for the royals. Here was a biracial, self-made American woman who brought glamour, modernity, and, honestly, a breath of fresh air to a monarchy that had grown pretty stale. Crowds cheered. Newspapers called it a new era. The palace PR machine leaned in hard. This was the inclusive monarchy storyline they had been craving. A PR goldmine. But behind the scenes, the cracks started showing almost immediately. Meghan was treated like an intruder rather than a valued new member of the family. She was subjected to relentless, racist, sexist attacks from the press, and the royal institution did little to nothing to defend her. In fact, in many cases, they seemed to leak and brief against her. For Harry, it must have felt like déjà vu. He had lived through this movie before. A toxic media hounding his mother to death while the palace stood frozen, prioritizing never complain, never explain over the emotional well-being of a human being. He wasn't about to watch history repeat itself with his wife. So he did what few in his position have ever dared to do. He left. And here's where the palace made their first fatal error. They assumed Harry would fail. They assumed he and Meghan would flounder without the royal brand, that their popularity would evaporate, that they'd come crawling back in humiliation. Instead, Harry and Meghan thrived. They signed these multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, built a global platform through their Archewell Foundation, and crafted a life where they could raise their children free from the, suffocating control of the crown. Even when the British press crowed about flops or embarrassments, Harry stayed the course. He just kept building. He wrote Spare, which honestly became one of the best-selling memoirs of all time, ripping the veil off the palace's carefully constructed myths. He filmed Harry and Meghan on Netflix, breaking viewing records and, telling their story on their own terms. Every single time the tabloids screamed that his relevance was fading, he'd reappear with another project that made headlines worldwide. And here's the kicker. Harry's success hasn't just been personal. It's actually forced the monarchy to act. You can see the fingerprints of Harry's influence all over William's sudden passion for mental health advocacy, and all over the monarchy's half-hearted attempts to look modern and relatable. The irony is, well, delicious. They tried to erase him, and instead he became the standard they're forced to chase. Meanwhile, the public's appetite for royal drama has shifted dramatically. After the coronation of King Charles III, sales of royal merchandise actually fell, which is, honestly, a shocking decline for what should have been a golden moment for royal branding. And when The Crown dropped its finale in 2023, audiences were far more engrossed in the fictionalized palace drama than in anything happening in real life. The truth is unavoidable. The monarchy has grown boring, predictable, maybe a little too stale for the TikTok era. The only figure who still generates genuine global fascination? Harry. And let's be brutally honest here. The palace wants that attention back. They want the magnetism without the mess, the star power without the independence. They want a Harry who shows up to cut ribbons, smile for the cameras, and never speak out of turn. But that version of Harry is gone, because they killed him. You don't drive someone to the point of leaving everything they know behind, strip them of their security, publicly humiliate their wife, evict them from their home, and then expect them to come back as if nothing happened. Frogmore Cottage wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of belonging. Taking it away was the ultimate message. You are no longer one of us. Harry heard them loud and clear. His response, fine, keep it. I'll make my own home, my own life, my own future. And that's exactly what he's doing. What we are witnessing now is something far bigger than family drama. It's honestly the slow unraveling of a centuries-old institution, sped up by its own inability to change. Charles, William and Kate have had like 5 years to prove that the monarchy can stand on its own 2 feet without Harry, and they have failed spectacularly. The monarchy's problems aren't going away. They are bleeding relevance. Younger generations are increasingly indifferent to the royals, seeing them as out of touch, expensive and unnecessary. The protocols feel archaic, the pageantry increasingly absurd. Without someone like Harry, charismatic, relatable, emotionally open, the institution feels cold and mechanical. Harry was their chance to pivot, to become something more human, to connect with the 21st century, and they blew it. Now, from across the Atlantic, Harry is doing what the monarchy cannot. He is capturing hearts, sparking conversations, inspiring action. Whether he's speaking about mental health veterans' issues or media accountability, he is shaping the narrative in ways that no royal press secretary can spin. He is not coming back. There will be no tea parties, no carefully staged reconciliations, no grand return to the fold. He is walking his own road, the one Diana never got the chance to fully walk, blazing a trail that others will follow. And every time he succeeds, it is a reminder to the palace, and to the public, of what they lost. The monarchy is fading not because Harry left, but because they failed to keep up with him. The world is moving forward, and the institution is standing still, clutching its pearls and hoping for the good old days. Those days are over. Harry is not their problem. He is their mirror, and the reflection is not flattering. So yes, this is the beginning of the end. The monarchy will limp along for a while longer, propped up by tradition and taxpayer money. But its magic is gone. The fairy tale has cracked. The only real story left is the one being written in California, where a man once known as the Spare has become the main event. And as the curtain falls on the House of Windsor's grip over public imagination, there's one truth they cannot escape. They had a lifeline. They let it slip. And now, the future belongs to Harry. So here's the bottom line. Harry isn't the lost prince you keep hearing about. He's the one who got away, and he's never looking back. The monarchy had its chance to evolve, to let him be the bridge to a new generation, and instead they pushed him out and slammed the door behind him. Now he's thriving so loudly it echoes through those dusty palace halls, reminding everyone of what real power looks like. Freedom, authenticity, and living life on your own terms. So pour yourself some tea, Britain, because this show isn't happening at Buckingham Palace anymore. It's playing out in California, with Harry in the starring role and the whole world watching. The firm? They're just the background characters now, clutching their pearls while the ratings drop. Game over, royals. Harry stole the spotlight and he's not giving it back.